Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by a very, very, very special guest today. Hey, we're going to talk about the Loons. Kevin Lachance, a hitting instructor in the Dodgers system. He was the hitting coach in 2025 for the Great Lakes Loons, joins Dodgers Daily. Kevin, this is a wonderful honor. I've been wanting to talk to you all the way back to whenever you were in the complex system in 2024. You won that championship. So welcome in. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. Thanks for having me. Glad to finally get to chat.
Okay, first of all, I got to ask you. I know you're from back in Virginia. That's where my boy Gator's from. I love Gator. He's one of my favorites. And then one of the biggest prospects in all of minor leagues, Zaire Hope, is from Virginia. And I know you work with both of them on your own time, not just the Dodgers' time, when you're all three back home in Virginia. So can you kind of talk about those two connections first?
Yeah, no, I love those guys. Both of them are from back home. We all played in the same travel organization growing up through high school. Actually, Jack O'Connor, too, new draft pick, is from the same travel organization. So I've known those guys a while, been training those guys Zaire since he was in high school. Gator really since he got into pro ball. So both great guys and great to work with them.
Okay, so you grew up on the East Coast in Virginia there, not exactly on the Atlantic Ocean or anything, but definitely on the East Coast. You get drafted by the Dodgers. What did you know about the Dodgers? What kind of were you a fan of theirs, or what was that like going from East Coast to a West Coast-based organization?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, didn't know a ton about the Dodgers other than obviously the baseball history. Knew that they were a good franchise, had a good reputation, so I was excited going into it, and really enjoyed my time playing with them. So
you got drafted, and then you played a little bit indie ball, so you had a good professional career there, and then you got hooked back up with the Dodgers. You got drafted by the Dodgers. You got hooked back up with the Dodgers in 2024. So kind of take us through your professional career and then how you got hooked back up in the Dodgers organization.
Yeah. So like you said, drafted by the Dodgers, played with them for a few years, and then ended up with the Diamondbacks for a year, 2019, and then finished out my career with a couple of years in indie ball up in Winnipeg. So I had a really good playing career. I really enjoyed my time, kind of all those places. And then, I'd kind of kept in touch with different Dodgers people, that are still here from back when I was playing, and just kind of talking about different guys, talking a little bit about Gator and Zaire and some other guys. And so then I decided to stop playing just before the 2023 season. So then that off season is when kind of had some conversations, ended up getting hired.
Maryland, Baltimore County, shortstop, leadoff type guy, right? Tell us about your game a little bit.
Yeah, I love the game of baseball, still do, obviously, otherwise wouldn't be doing this. Just tried to play hard. Was, like you said, more of a leadoff type, get on base guy. I believe I still have, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe I still have the single season and all-time steals record at UMBC. I don't know if it's been passed yet. So that was the type of player I was, just hard-nosed, to play anywhere. Shortstop growing up, and then with in pro ball, kind of moved all over, spent time at really all 9 positions. All 7 positions, not pitcher and catcher. But
yeah. So lots of stolen bases, shortstop, leadoff type guy. So I got to ask you, did you ever foot race Cole Myers or Kendall George?
No, I did not have the courage to race them, especially at this point in my career. I don't think I was ever quite the level that those guys are at. But no, certainly appreciate their game.
So you were one of the coaches on the complex team that won the complex league in 2024. Talk about that. And then also, I know you worked with Juan Apodaca. I've seen him when he was at AA Tulsa. I got to see his son. I think he's probably like 8 or 9 years old at the time. I got to see him dropping like 300-foot bombs and hitting batting practice on the right field line. So first of all, talk about that awesome complex team, and then also talk about the bombs that Juan Apodaca's son drops.
Yeah. Really, really fun team, 2024. Great players, great staff, really good group of guys, and a lot of talent on that team. A lot of guys that are top prospects are working their way towards being top prospects. So, had a lot of fun. Got to give a shout out to Xavi as well, who's the hitting coach in Rancho this year, was with me at the complex last year. Just awesome guy and really good guy to work with. So we worked well together. But no, that team was a ton of fun. I think obviously we had the top prospects and guys that were really talented, got called up to Rancho and all that. But I think what I was most proud of was, at one point, middle of the season, we had Mesa called up, we had Albertus called up, we had Decker called up, and then we have Vargas go down with an injury. Quintero was kind of banged up a little bit. So really, we're missing 4 of our top 5 hitters, and there's not a ton of offenses that can keep producing and keep winning. But I was just really proud of the group and how hard they worked at developing and excuse me, the guys like Jaron Elkins, who was probably one of the more improved guys from the start of last year to the end. Guys like Nico Perez, Guerrero, who we'll talk about, I'm sure, Shelton, Jose Hernandez, just a ton of guys that really worked hard, kept developing, and then were ready to step up in that role when the opportunity presented itself. So just cool group of guys, cool kind of end of the season. Obviously, won our division, won the championship. So ton of fun, really good squad.
I did not have these two guys on the question log, but I can't pass them up. Jaron Elkins, who led the California League in stolen bases this year, just a treasure trove of tools. And then you mentioned Eduardo Vargas, who's just a big, good-looking middle infield, probably shortstop profile type guy. Can you talk about those two first before we get into this last year's Loons roster?
Yeah, you said it with Elkins, just super, super talented, very explosive athlete. Obviously had all the stolen bases this year and really made some big improvements, really over the last, 12 to 18 months with the swing. And just like the type of guy, like great defender, great base runner, really good impact, kind of surprising impact at the plate. Mm-hmm. Kind of sky's the limit there, and a guy that, I'm really looking forward to seeing continue to develop. And then Vargas, kind of same thing, super, super talented guy, like really big guy when you stand next to him. You kind of be surprised, but super talented infielder, and just to be able to have that level of impact from a premium infield position is just really special.
Okay, two of the biggest prospects in all of minor league baseball. Let's start right there. I always link them together because they're both outfielders, and they're both very, very highly thought of and big-time prospects. Zaire Hope, Josue De Paula, what makes those two so great?
Yeah, really had a lot of guys, but obviously those two are, right up there with anyone. I'll start with Depot. That's Josue De Paula. So much fun being with him. So much fun to coach, and so talented. I've seen him described as having one of the better eyes or better decision makers in minor league baseball. Really talented with the bat too, can use the whole field, can hit the ball for power. So, very, very talented. I feel like what, he doesn't get a ton of credit for, as much credit as he deserves, is just how smart he is. Yes. And just how much he cares in the cage and how he works, kind of off the field in that department. It was really cool to work with him. And, some guys like to keep it simple, and, that works for him. And Depot's really able to have very high level conversations, especially for such a young player. Very high level conversations, whether that's approach based or with the swing or breaking down his own video, just so receptive to that stuff, and really, really seeks it out. So I think like whenever you have a really talented young player, you look for them to have that desire to be great. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy that definitely has that. So, like I said, like really talented. I feel like no matter what the matchup was on the mound, no matter who was throwing, I felt like he had the advantage, and that he was going to go and get the job done. So really fun working with him. And then getting over to Zaire, I think I've been really impressed with Zaire, just the human being, since I've known him, even dating back to high school, like just top tier human, such a joy to be around. And, it was cool being with him this season and being with him during, the year. So again, really talented. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but we had a lot of talented guys. So hits the ball really hard, does so to all fields, does so very easily. I know even back at the facility, we have other pro guys that'll watch him hit, and they're just kind of in awe of like, he's got the intent that they had like on front toss, but then he's hitting balls like 110 off the bat with ease. So it's really cool to see. And, I think just the personality and how he goes about his business, I think that he loves the game of baseball as much as anyone that I've been around. I know even dating back to high school, like we'd hit in the morning sometimes, and I'd be talking to him later at night, and he's back home hitting with his buddies again, and just always trying to get better and improve his game. And I think like also his personality is so infectious. And so like I've said this before, but I've never seen him have a bad day. And that goes like obviously the personality, but also just how well he is at handling the failures that come up that, within the game throughout the season. So, two very talented guys, and two really hard workers.
So a couple questions, one each on each one of those two. Did you ever get to see Zaire Hope pitch in high school? He was pretty darn good from the left side. And then two, with Josue De Paula, he impacts the ball. So, I mean, he had like at least 2 or 3 times where he had like 110-mile-an-hour singles, right? I mean, he just hits the ball so hard. So is there any emphasis for him of maybe raising the launch angle, or is that just not even a thought for him? Can you answer those 2 questions?
Yeah, I mean, first with Zaire, I did see him pitch a little bit. I didn't, with me playing, I didn't get out to too many high school games. I did kind of that one year that I didn't play. But really impressive. I know he was committed to UNC as a 2-way. I know he was up in the mid-90s on the mound. I even saw some stuff when the Dodgers first acquired him, kind of speculating that we might want him as a pitcher. So obviously, like, really special talent, and the arm shows in the outfield.
Yes.
And then with Depot, like, really impacts the ball. I think we've seen that get better and better each year that he's, continued to grow. And so, like, obviously when you're hitting the ball hard, you want to hit the ball hard in the air. So I wouldn't say that that's been like a major focus, but just kind of something that we're always trying to improve upon is just kind of hitting balls hard and hitting them at good angles.
But another guy that uses all fields, especially the opposite field, and the thing about it is he does not lose impact when he hits the ball the opposite field, is Mike Sirota. I tell you what, he might be the most impressive offensive player overall with all of his skills in the system for me. I just love the way he reminds me of Paul Molitor.
I mean, very elite offensive profile. And just the way that he's able to impact the ball to the middle of the field and the other way, is unlike a lot of guys. And so I think that that's really what makes him special. Kind of has as much power as anyone, and we had a lot of guys with a lot of power. And just another guy that's really good at the approach stuff and really, like, mentally plays a game at a high level. I think he's a big, like, mind over matter guy. It's something that I really resonate with, where, like, it's very difficult throughout the course of a season to be over 3 or in a over 12, and it's the middle of the year, and, like, not let that get to you, and, like, not have just, like, even just a little bit, like, not let it sort of get your confidence down or anything like that. And he did just such a good job at staying locked in. Like, even when he's doing good and it's, he's 3 for 4 and it's a blowout game and the at bat technically means nothing. He's just so focused at all times, and it's something that I really think makes him special. Yeah,
it's kind of a follow-up on that. You mentioned it to piggyback off something you said. He's one of those guys that, I know it's all about development, and you're trying to make your big gulp a little bit bigger, so you might be trying to go out of your box every now and then to see if there's anything else you can do. But I'll say this about him. From what I've seen, he never gives an at-bat away, ever. Every at-bat is as competitive as the one before.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, he's just so locked in all the time, and it's just awesome to see. I mean, I think, like, I've heard this a couple times, like, you kind of got to be crazy to do it at the highest level possible. And he's got that ability to stay focused when other guys maybe aren't as much. So really cool.
100%. So a guy, I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised whenever I saw that he got promoted, was Eduardo Guerrero. And I'm like, okay, well, there wasn't a whole lot, there wasn't any video on the home games of Rancho the year before, so I hadn't seen a whole lot of them. Eduardo Guerrero, though, the first time I saw him, I was like, dang, this is a big dude. I mean, this is a guy that's long and rangy. He's got a huge physique. He's got a lot of tools. So talk about Eduardo.
Yeah, no, like you said, a guy that does a lot of things really well.
Yeah.
You said kind of like good body, like good ability to kind of keep growing into that and get stronger. But excellent defender, good at bat quality, has a good eye at the plate, really good just all around hitter. He was our 3 hitter towards the end of the season at the Complex League last year. So did a really good job, and there's kind of a reason why he's a guy that's trusted, even with a little bit less experience and as a younger guy, that he's one that's trusted to kind of go up to high A, go up to double A or triple A when needed, and does a really good job.
Yeah. Very underrated catching prospects with the Loons last year. Gio Cueto, known more for his defense, but still a good offensive player. Nelson Quiros, definitely known for his offense. He went on a tear with Tulsa when he went up with them. Loves to hit that ball to left field as a left-handed hitter with 2 strikes. I love his approach. 2 very underrated players, Gio Cueto and Nelson Quiros.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Gio, I'll keep it short. He was only with me for a short amount of time, but first thing that jumps off, just pitchers love him. Players and coaches kind of on that side of the ball were very excited when he got called up just to be able to throw to him and have him back there. So, I mean, good kid, smart kid, works a good at bat, has a good idea of what he's trying to do when he goes up there. So, really checks off a lot of boxes, and excited to see him keep developing. And then you mentioned Quiros and just, what a year he had, really elite bat, elite bat to ball skills. Uses the whole field kind of at will. Like anytime he needs it, that left side of the field is wide open for him. And made some swing changes from this past year, made some adjustments with the approach and stuff like that. And it really helped him take off. I mean, I forget what it was. It was probably 360 that he was hitting when he got called up to Tulsa. So really impressive to have that level of impact bat from the catcher position.
Hey, my man, Frod, he spent some time in Oklahoma City on the development list, so I got to meet him then when he wasn't actually playing. He was just kind of working on skills there. Then he also got called up to play, a handful or a couple of handfuls of games. I know he went on a huge tear for you guys. Really, really underrated guy, and maybe the best dude, the nicest guy ever in the history of the earth. But Frod, Frank Rodriguez, I love this guy.
Yeah, really, really happy for him. Had a really good year, like you said, was on the developmental list. Really working hard at improving his game, and got the chance to get on the field and show what he can do, and really made the most of those opportunities, and really earned a lot of playing time down the stretch for us, and was a guy that could really impact the game offensively, and very, very good defender, very good reputation behind the dish there, and for him to show what he's able to do offensively was really cool to see, and couldn't happen to a better guy.
Yeah. I'll say this for the next guy we're going to talk about, Jackson Nicklaus, because I got to see him way too much at OU. He wore out Oklahoma State every time we played him. I also got to see him quite a bit back home in Wichita. So know all about Jackson Nicklaus. He can wear out that left center field gap as a left-handed hitter, just one after the other in his sleep. Seems to me like he's trying to expand his game and be more of add some tools to it as he goes along. But I tell you what, Jackson Nicklaus has a very sweet left-handed swing and a lot of upside, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you said, another guy that's still continuing to develop, but really sweet swing, and has a really good, really good future and potential down the road. I was really impressed. It's not easy coming, straight to high A out of the gate, and so that was a challenge at times, but had some really big hits for us and won us a couple of games. It was really cool to see him come through in those spots. Another guy, great kid, great worker, and really excited to see what he does moving forward.
Let me ask you something about him. Of course, he hit like 800 in high school, and he hit like 400 at OU. So were there any points last year maybe where he was on a stretch to where he wasn't hitting the ball like he was used to hitting, to where you saw him get frustrated? Or how did he handle that part of the professional experience?
Yeah, no, super, super professional guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was difficult jumping straight to high A, and that's kind of where we needed him at the time. And certainly wasn't performing like he's used to and like you've seen him perform in the past. But just really, really good about it. Really good about just putting his head down and working and trying to get better each day and not letting it affect him.
Have you ever heard the story about Kyle Nevin where he was like 5'5" his freshman and sophomore in high school, and then as a junior in high school 1 year later was 6'5"? Did he ever tell you that story?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy though.
Absolutely. So Kyle Nevin was this little short guy, and so he learned to hit like a little guy, which is why he always hits the ball to right center. That's kind of where he grooves his swing. And now as he's gotten taller, now he's 6'5", something like that.
Yeah.
Now he's trying to hit like a big boy. So he's trying to incorporate that little guy swing that he learned as a kid with the big boy swing in the pros. So tell us about Kyle Nevin.
Yeah, no, love Nev. Great guy to have around. Really, it's like having another coach in the room. Just the way that he thinks the game at a high level, picks stuff up. Is able to go out and execute approaches and things like that. It's a lot of fun being able to have those conversations in the dugout and just see him go and execute it right away. So a ton of fun being with him, and I was happy to see him get called up pretty quickly after being with us. But a guy that was coming back from a tough injury last year. And you could just see how much better he felt this year and how much better he performed. So really happy to see him kind of take off like that.
Yeah, what did you think about his progress as a defensive third baseman? I think that's probably a pretty good fit for him. Adding versatility is always good, but what did you see there?
Yeah, no, really good defender. Really kind of anywhere we put him. Even in the outfield, felt like we were comfortable with him out there. And just really valuable to have a guy that you can move around and is going to provide good defense wherever it is.
Yeah, a guy that I'll say this, you don't have to say this, I'll say it for him. I think if he stays healthy, of course, that's always a big if for any minor league player. I think he's going to be in the major leagues, and I think he's going to be there for a long time. Elijah Hainline, a guy who's a great defender, very versatile, really strong guy, very experienced. You can tell he has great instincts for the game, really impacts the ball, uses all fields. I'm really high on Elijah Hainline.
Yeah, no, I look at very impressive. This is his first first year in pro ball, and very impressive, just kind of across the board. Ended up playing at all 4 levels, which is pretty rare for guys to be able to do, but really earned it. And I think like you said, across the board, like very good defender. Plays the game extremely hard, really good at bats, good approach. Really showed a very impressive offensive profile. Driving the ball to all fields, impacting the ball, hitting for a high average. Kind of does a lot of the things that you want, and also can play defense in the middle infield. And so that's kind of rare to have all of that together. So really impressive first year. I thought that he did a good job when he came up to high A. Like, he was just so prepared. A lot of guys, there's like a little transition period, just getting used to the level, but I feel like he was able to hit the ground running. So that's a credit to a lot of the work that he's had and done in the past. But he's really got a chance. I'm with you there.
One thing you can't teach is loving to be in the big moment. It seems like he wants to be the guy at the plate when the game's on the line. He wants the ball hit to him at shortstop with the game on the line. Would that be a correct assessment?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll add to that. He loves everything about the game. It's all about it, all for his teammates, just loves competing.
I'll tell you another guy that carries himself with a whole lot of confidence. He has a great style to him. Kenny George, man, how about the game that he built this year, huh? Super excited about him.
Yeah, made huge strides, really in all aspects of the game. Defense got a lot better, base running got a lot better, swing and offensive profile got a lot better, got stronger off the field, like really made some big improvements. It was really cool to see. I feel like he really opened some eyes just across baseball this year. So awesome. Like, we had a lot of top prospects and everything, but I feel like he really showed just how much his profile can impact the game offensively. And so for, a guy that, like I said, I kind of played my game a little bit that style, I very much appreciate it. And, I can tell you it was awesome from the dugout. But just kind of to some of the improvements that he made. I'm actually just going through some of this with him the other day, but in zone miss dropped by almost 10%. Walked more than he struck out, hit basically 300, on base percentage over 400, like very, very elite on base profile and skill set. And, I feel like that can be undervalued sometimes today, but if you watched the Loons this year, you knew how much impact it had.
So is that more of an approach thing? Like, hey, I'm okay with a 3-hopper to shortstop and see if I can run a sub-4 to first base? Or was that more, got a little bit stronger and a little bit more experience? Or was that a little bit all of that?
I think it was a little bit of everything. Certainly there's a time and place of just like, hey, like this is what you do really well. Like, let's put the ball in play, get on base. But there's also there were some swing adjustments that we made. Obviously him getting stronger and working in the weight room. I feel like everything really, came together for him. Yeah.
And in terms of the confidence piece, it seems like being with Depot and Zaire Hope, and then to an extent Sirota, but certainly Jose Paula and Zaire Hope, it felt like Kenny George fed off the emotions of having that type of outfield. Like, yeah, we're the Loons, look at this outfield, right? It felt like Kenny George developed some confidence from that perspective, or is that just me making things up?
No, for sure. It was a really fun outfield, and I feel like he fed off that as much as anybody. Just really, really strong competitor. Really wants to win, really gets fired up for his teammates, for everybody. So, really cool to see.
Really sneaky. Not really sneaky. That's probably the wrong way to put it, because he is a top prospect. But when the Dodgers have so many great prospects in their system, a guy like Eduardo Quintero, maybe you don't quite appreciate all the things that he can do. This is truly a guy that's a 5-tool type of prospect if he reaches all of his potential. Eduardo Quintero, lots and lots of tools.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, 5-tool player, and really the sky's the limit. I've just been so impressed with him the last 2 years, just kind of on and off the field, how he carries himself, how he goes about his business, just very professional, very hard worker. And then really does everything well. Really good eye at the plate, very good defender, really good all around hitter, can go the other way, can drive the ball, kind of a surprising amount of impact. Yes. I forget exactly how many home runs he ended with, but it was quite a few this year. So it can really impact the ball, and just really took off down the stretch for us. Was a really big piece of our late playoff run.
Is he a guy that's kind of learning that balance? What's the perfect balance for me between adding power and maybe the swing and miss aspect of things, or is that not something that's a focus for him?
Not necessarily. I feel like a lot of it is just him getting stronger. Yeah. Such a young player, so much room for development and growth there. So I feel like he made some really big strides in the weight room, and shout out to the guys there. And, but he really worked hard at that, and it really showed.
Yeah. Okay. Two guys that I kind of put in the same category because they're very talented. They were injured. They came back off injury, and this year, kind of had one of those first years in pro ball where you're just kind of getting used to everything. Logan Wagner, Cameron Decker, two extremely, extremely talented young men, and both young men that's kind of like we talked about Elijah Hainline. When you need just a base hit to the opposite field, just maybe an 86-mile-an-hour dinker over the second baseman's head or the opposite field, whatever, those two guys come through. But talk about Logan Wagner, Cameron Decker, their potential in the years they had.
Yeah, really cool for Wags. Really happy for him. He was able to stay healthy, kind of dealt with stuff both of his first 2 years. And so really just a guy that needed to go out and play a lot of baseball. And that's what he did this year. And it was really cool to see. Very talented, another just excellent human being on and off the field, and a guy that can really impact the ball. And I think that's something that surprised me, being my first year with him, of just how much he can impact the ball. I think for a while he was leading us in home runs, even with all the other top prospects. So really, really talented. And this was his first opportunity to play the game and kind of let the game tell us what stuff he needs to work on. So really, really excited to see him and how he keeps progressing and getting better. And then, Decker, obviously was with him a bit last year at the complex level. Really, really great kid, very professional in how he goes about his business, really hard worker, just kind of puts his head down and gets the job done. Last year was really cool, just kind of having him come back down to Arizona, working on some stuff, making some adjustments, and then seeing all that stuff pay off, and him go and be one of the better hitters in Rancho towards the end of the year. So was really excited for him coming into this year. Fortunately had some injuries this year, and kind of that sort of injury bug came back up, and but really excited to see what he can do moving forward, because I think he can really provide some impact.
So Logan Wagner being a switch hitter. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you want a guy, whether it be your tee work or whether it just be dry swings or whether it be soft toss or in the cages. Let's say you set the number at 100 swings a day, okay? So does that mean that he takes 50 left-handed and 50 right-handed, or does that mean he takes 200 now, 100 right-handed and 100 left-handed? How does that work at the professional level?
He's a guy that will work and just keep working. So a guy that, especially with the injuries, that we needed to sort of like make sure that he was being smart about things. But the work ethic is not a problem whatsoever. I would say it varied. One of the things that we were talking about throughout the year is just like, who are we likely to face? Like, how many lefties do they have in the bullpen? Is it a lefty starter? Obviously, that would impact things, but also like who's likely available and who isn't. So there were some days, like there were some teams that had like one left-handed pitcher. Okay. So if he pitched that day, then he would know, okay, the next couple of days I'm only left-handed. Not that he would ignore the right side on those days, but it would just be less. I would say on a normal day, it's about even, but there's like or I guess on the whole, it's about even, but it like varies based on the starting pitcher a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, the left-handed home runs are pretty natural to him, but he seemed pretty proud of the right-handed home runs and the power from the right side. That seems to be a big emphasis for him.
Yeah, for sure. The right-handed swing came a long way. Had a lot of really big swings for us against some tough pitchers from the left side, and really cool to see it.
The two King Kongs, Jake Gellof and Joe Vetrano. It's like I can't wait to watch them take BP in Tulsa, because I know they're going to be hitting the Williams Center, which is about 2 blocks away from the stadium. These two guys have massive power potential. So Jake Gellof, Joe Vetrano, talk about those two.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had a lot of guys with a lot of pop, but those two stand out amongst everybody. Joe's another guy that has that pop to all fields. And I feel like that's huge, and he goes the other way so well from the left side. Yes. That left center gap, kind of power alley for him is really something that can set him apart. Another guy kind of coming off a tough injury this year, the same one that Nevin had previously. So definitely working on some stuff, obviously like him feeling better, but the swing made some strides with approach stuff and just swing decisions and all that. But I'm very hopeful that he'll have kind of a similarly successful year 2 as Nevin had this past year. And then with Jake Gellof, just love Jake, just such raw power, and is able to generate that power so easily. So a lot of what we did this year was just working on trying to simplify things and trying to make sure that power shows itself as consistently as possible. But had a really good year, made some good improvements from last year, and really finished strong.
Can you talk about Jake Gellof as a defensive third baseman?
Yeah. I mean, it got a lot better. Like I didn't, wasn't with him previously, but just from what guys are saying, seemed to get a lot better and was definitely a guy that we trusted out there.
Can you evaluate Jordan Thompson?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, just banged up this year. He was playing through some stuff and just wasn't quite able to feel himself. And so, that's always tough, but it's kind of a part of it. And really tough guy, really played through it for a bit there. But no, really good all-around player, good defender, really good arm. We were kind of joking at times about trying to get him on the mound at some point this year. And can really impact the ball. A guy that has performed at a high level previously, and looking forward to seeing him healthy and back at it next year.
I did not put this one on the question log either, but I think you'll be able to handle this fairly easily. So you have all this TrackMan data. You have the Hawkeye systems that can tell you, hey, this has got 22 inches of vert, it's got 23 inches of horizontal, this and that, and all this information, and you can just throw stuff at guys till the cows come home, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with the complexities of they need to know this information so they can have the best plan possible at the plate, but they need to not think too much? How do you do that as a professional hitting coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the tougher jobs that we have as hitting coaches. And I think a lot of it, honestly, is just getting to know your players, and just getting to know kind of what makes them click, how much information they like. Like I talked earlier, some guys with depot, like some guys like to keep it simple. Some guys like a lot of information and can handle that and know how to use it and apply it effectively. So it's all about just knowing your players and knowing the right situations. Then obviously on our end, doing our homework and making sure that we, have all the information that's going to help them. There's a lot of case by case basis with different guys. Some guys are very eager to learn and always asking a ton of questions. And some guys keep it a little bit more simple. Like, this is my approach. I'm going to go execute it.
Yeah. So, you being a hitting coach and you evaluating swings, did Sean ever come over to you and go, hey man, can you evaluate, like maybe you got a guy who's got a couple of hits off you and you're having a tough time getting him out? Did Sean ever come over to you and go, hey, what do you see in this guy swing? How do we attack this guy? Does that ever happen back and forth between hitting and pitching coaches?
Yeah, I mean, me and Sean had a great relationship this year. Just talking through stuff, and honestly, I feel like he, has a lot of the pitcher stuff handled. But we would certainly talk from time to time on various things of, what we see on either end, and certainly there's a little bit too of like talking to some of our pitchers on stuff of just like how I would game plan for them and just helping them understand, how to use their arsenal.
Last question here. I've taken a lot of your time. I thank you so much, Kevin Lachance. I know you're super busy, and so thank you so much for joining. But I got to say, you loved that, you were that leadoff hitter type game. What did it mean, and what was it like to watch a guy break all the records like Kendall George did and get 100 stolen bases? I mean, that had to be incredible to watch every day. Yeah,
so much fun. Like I said, anytime that he was on base, it was, must-watch TV. Just seeing what he's able to do and also like how it impacted the game, and how pitchers would have to try to handle it and other teams would kind of adjust things, and it would really change a lot of stuff. But just really cool to see him take that step forward and get to 100 bags. And I think the second half of the year, I forget what the split was from first half to second half, but I feel like he really got better, and working with Braylon and the guys with on base running stuff, I feel like he got better throughout the year. And so I'll be interested to see if he can break it next year.
Absolutely. Awesome. Kevin Lachance, anything else you want to get out there to button things up for this year? Do you want to talk about Jair or any, maybe Dickie Joe Thon, the bench coach, or just the organization, maybe some of the roving guys or anything like that to button this thing up?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, great coaching staff. Like I said, with the Complex League, like really experienced group, really knowledgeable group, and just really good job of collaborating and working with each other, from the trainers to strength and conditioning to Jair and Joe and Braylon and Sean and a bunch of those guys. So, really great staff. I feel like the Dodgers do a really good job of bringing in good people and people that care and people that want to help out each other. And I feel like it's a really fun and healthy environment.
Okay, I lied. I'm going to ask one more question here. You're from Virginia, so you're a little bit more conditioned to it than somebody like me that's from Oklahoma. What was the coldest moment of the year being in the Midwest League up there?
There were a few. We had a lot of cold and a lot of rain this year, which I guess is fairly standard. I'd say it was probably early on, first series at Lansing we were playing, and it was like snowing middle of the game and kind of coming down fairly hard. And I'm just lucky that I wasn't the one that had to go out there and try to hit. I don't need to be tough anymore. I can bundle up and
absolutely
stay warm, but they're the ones that have to go out and perform. So it was certainly a challenge.
So are you the tough guy wearing the short sleeves? Oh, it's not cold out here. Or are you the guy that's like, screw that, it's cold. I'm wearing as many layers as I can. Which one are you?
I would say I was the guy that tried to tough it out and would never wear the undershirt and everything. I did have an injury at the end of my college career with my shoulder. And so from that point on, I kind of had to put that ego aside and make sure that my shoulder stayed warm and make sure that I was in a good place to go and play. So I guess I did a little bit of both, but I'd like to think I tried to be the tough guy.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. I'd always look at that tough guy and go, bull crap, man. It's absolutely cold out here. You can tell me that's a mental thing. It's as physical as it gets. So, hey, Kevin Lachance, absolutely awesome conversation here. Thank you so much for spending so much time here on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.